The story begins in a forgotten corner of the world. Hidden there was an island that never appeared on any map. This place was Themyscira. Diana grew up on this mysterious island. The inhabitants of the island were all highly skilled Amazon warriors. Every day, they did only one thing: train, close combat, archery, horseback riding, battle drills. The intensity of their training was nearly hellish, but Diana was different. She wanted to join in, but her mother, Hippolyta, strictly forbade it. Hippolyta wasn't just the queen of the Amazons. She was Diana's mother, and all of this goes back thousands of years in ancient times. The Greek gods ruled the world. Led by Zeus, they created humans in their own image, but Mars, the god of war, soon noticed that humans were full of greed and desire, so he began secretly manipulating them, stirring up wars and creating chaos. The world quickly fell into endless bloodshed. To stop it, Zeus created the Amazons, hoping they could guide humanity toward peace. Meanwhile, Mars betrayed the gods and nearly wiped out all of Olympus in his fury. Zeus descended to Earth himself, using all his power to severely wound Mars, but he knew that his son would never truly disappear. So, Zeus created Themyscira, a hidden paradise protected by a magical barrier to shelter the Amazons. At the same time, he left behind a weapon capable of killing a god. Diana, from a young age, was fascinated by this sword. She nearly begged her mother every day to let her see it. She even secretly went to her aunt Antiope, asking her to teach her to fight. Antiope didn't refuse. She believed that danger never truly disappears. But eventually, Hippolyta found out. The two sisters had a fierce argument. The queen believed the world was at peace, and Diana had no need to step onto a battlefield, but Antiope reminded her, Mars is still alive. If he returns, Diana's very identity will become a deadly target. Those words finally shook Hippolyta. From that day on, Diana's training doubled in intensity. What took others a day took her 10 days. Just when she thought the fight was over, Antiope suddenly struck, throwing her to the ground. She said sternly, "Never let your guard down." At that moment, Diana instinctively pressed her hands together. The next second, a powerful force erupted from within her. The shockwave sent nearby soldiers flying. Diana herself was stunned. She had no idea where this power came from. From a distance, Antiope smiled in satisfaction. That day, Diana stood alone on a cliff, staring at her hands in awe. And then, a loud crash broke the sky. A runaway plane broke through Themyscira's barrier and plunged into the sea. Diana didn't hesitate. She immediately jumped in. She shot through the water like a bullet, and just in time, unbuckled the pilot and saved him from drowning. It was the first time she had ever seen a man. His name was Steve Trevor. Steve woke up, staring at Diana in shock, completely lost. But before they could explain anything, outside the barrier, several warships were already closing in. One soldier reached for the wreckage, only to pass through the barrier and see the mysterious island. In the next second, a flood of soldiers charged in, firing indiscriminately. Diana hadn't even realized the danger, and the battle had begun. Hippolyta arrived just in time, giving the command. The Amazon warriors drew their bows and fired together. Arrows rained down, and the invaders fell. The surviving soldiers rushed to shore, while the queen led a leap from the cliff. Though the Amazons used only melee weapons, they still had the upper hand against modern firearms. Antiope led the charge. Shield, bow, roll, shoot. Her movements a blur, but while covering Diana, a bullet struck her. The battle was won. But Antiope fell on the beach. Her sacrifice cast a shadow of grief across the Paradise Island. Hippolyta poured all her anger onto the man who had trespassed. Steve Trevor was brought to the judgment hall. Soon, the lasso of truth restrained him. Under its power, he could no longer lie. Steve revealed the truth. He admitted he was a British pilot and a spy undercover within the German army. Not long ago, he had discovered General Ludendorff secretly developing a new type of poison gas, a gas so deadly that even protective masks couldn't stop it. If deployed, the consequences would be catastrophic. To prevent this, Steve stole Dr. Maru's research notes and destroyed the lab with a bomb. Because of this, he was hunted by the Germans and accidentally stumbled onto Themyscira. Steve begged the queen to let him leave. He said the most important thing now was to get the notes out and prevent the war from escalating. But to Hippolyta, human wars were none of the Amazons' concern. Yet Diana couldn't sit still. After hearing this, she was convinced that Ars was behind it all, Diana immediately decided she had to act. She took the lasso of truth, her shield, and the god-killing sword, and prepared to leave Themyscira with Steve as they set sail eastward. Steve admitted that this war was a mess. "It's going to take the right people to fix this," he said, but Diana replied firmly, "I am the right person." They arrived in the human world, and everything was new to Diana: the speeding trains, street food, even human babies. She had never seen anything like it. "No babies. Babies aren't made of clay?" she asked curiously to keep her from standing out. Steve took her shopping for clothes. It took over 200 attempts to finally find something simple enough to fit her. When Diana stepped out, shield in one hand, sword in the other, she immediately noticed they were being followed. At the entrance to a narrow alley, a group of armed men surrounded them. They demanded the stolen research notes, but Steve knocked one of them out with a headbutt as another raised his gun. Diana caught the bullet mid-air with her bare hands. The men stared in disbelief. Diana then charged, taking down the attackers with lightning speed. Steve finished off the remaining soldiers with perfect precision. They secured the notes and delivered them to the authorities, but the officials treated it lightly, and even kept the notes for themselves. Forcing Steve to act, he gathered 3 old comrades, forming a 5-person team to take down Ludendorff's lab. Diana's first appearance on the battlefield was spectacular. Sniper bullets flew at her, and she casually knocked them aside as artillery shells were fired. She pushed them off course with her shield. The enemy tried heavy suppression fire, bullets raining down like a storm. Even a demigod like Diana had to defend herself with her shield while she drew fire. Steve and his team advanced through a small path, taking precise shots at every target. When the enemy soldiers rushed out, Diana leapt into their trenches, destroying machine guns in a few moves. The enemies on the clock tower tried to resist, but Diana used an explosion to launch herself into the building, clearing everyone inside. Diana had become a hero in the eyes of the people. Photographers even captured her in action. That night, the 5-person team stayed in town, and Diana and Steve quietly grew closer. The next day, they infiltrated General Ludendorff's mansion. Steve posed as a high-ranking officer, and Diana wore a noblewoman's outfit. Their plan was to end Ludendorff at the party just as Diana prepared to strike. Steve intervened. He realized it was a trap. Ludendorff then ordered missiles fired toward the town where they had stayed the night before. Rushing back, Diana found the town covered in poisonous gas. Thousands of civilians were trapped, and Diana felt immense guilt. Determined, she stormed the enemy base alone, cut through the fence, and caught the enemies by surprise. Using her lasso of truth, she climbed to the lighthouse. Ludendorff fired at her, but the bullets bounced harmlessly off. Diana threw him out of the building like he weighed nothing. Ludendorff was dead, but the soldiers still transported poison gas. At that moment, Ars appeared. He was Steve's superior, secretly orchestrating the chaos. Diana drew the god-killing sword and struck, but it turned to dust. Ars revealed the truth: the sword could only kill gods. Diana quickly ensnared Ars with her lasso of truth, but his power crushed the building around them. Throwing her hundreds of feet away, he sent steel beams to block her path, and summoned hurricane-level winds, making it impossible for her to approach. She tried using a concrete column to strike, but Ars dodged and tore the earth apart. Diana was lifted into the air, and grenades rained down from him. She threw back what she could, exploding them with precision, but was blown away and temporarily deafened. Steve arrived behind her, preparing for a final sacrifice. Only he could destroy the gas-laden plane. He fought through the soldiers inside and neutralized it, saving countless lives. Ars, however, was not defeated. He forged armor from scrap metal and returned. He struck Diana down with 2 massive blades, and even the demigod was nearly overpowered. Diana fought back with her lasso, blocking attacks, but Ars pinned her to the wall with iron plates. Steve then detonated the remaining poison bombs from above. The explosion dyed the sky red, and Diana unleashed all her power, rushing into the enemy ranks and defeating them. Ars, feeding on violence, grew stronger from the battle. Diana struck first, but he threw her back with a single palm. He brought Dr. Maru before her, the mastermind behind the chaos. Diana lifted an armored vehicle to crush him, but Steve's voice echoed in her mind, reminding her to think first. She let Dr. Maru go, her divinity fully awakened. She prepared for Ars' final assault. Ars threw lightning at her, but each strike only fueled her power. She jumped, charged, and finally struck him with full force. Ars was defeated. Diana realized Humans are neither all good nor all evil, and only by staying true to herself could she protect the world alongside Steve.